Welcome. Thanks for joining in. This is the very first episode. I'm Anita. I have the lovely Basia with me today. It's Monday morning, I don't even, April, and just seeing where the conversation takes us. And welcome. And would you like me to introduce? Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, Basia?
Sure. Thank you, Anita, for having me. I'm so honored that I'm your first guest. Okay, a little bit about
Yeah.
me. So my name is Basia Henderson. I live in Scotland, in the west of Scotland, Glasgow. Um, I'm a coach. I work with amazing people, helping them live fulfilled lives, creating success, expand their potential, um, become more connected with themselves, with who they really are, become most authentic selves, and just go and play in the world and enjoy life.
I love it. I picked the right person. Thank you. We all need more of that. um, when you say like going out into the world or creating success, like how would you help someone where they're like, I want something, they know there's something more, but they just don't know what it is or how to access it? Like, do you have something, that first question, or how would you help someone just starting out that maybe is just a little bit confused?
Mm. You know, I always I always like to connect with people and just really have, a first conversation with everyone I connect is just a long conversation, and I want to see what they're all about, what's lighting them up, what's important for them, where are they on their journey, and what they want, what they want to create. And yeah, sometimes if someone actually doesn't know what they want to create, because sometimes it happens, right? Like we kind of know maybe we're not where we want to be, but we kind of haven't really thought too much about what we want, right? You know how
Yeah.
people can sometimes focus on what they don't want, but they don't actually know what they want. I like to help people just get connected with themselves first. And from that place, from that place of grounding, deeper connection, and being able to listen to themselves, their wisdom, and from that place, then kind of figuring out or connecting with that thing that really lights them up. And usually it becomes really apparent when we slow down and connect with ourselves.
Okay. Yes, that resonated with me. I do know what I want, and it's something I did many years ago. I took a comedy course where for 10 weeks we performed, and I don't even know how I started. I think I had just moved back to Canada. I was like looking for something. I was like, oh, that sounds like something to do after work or to stop by. And I was on stage for the showcase and did a little bit of stand-up comedy. And then I guess just sort of life took over. Didn't want to stay up that late or be in the comedy clubs, or maybe didn't believe in myself enough. So it wasn't the route that was there for me. But I've always found if I have an idea, if it keeps circling around, then maybe I should go with that. And a year ago, I was laid off. I'm flight attendant, and I miss people. So this conversation, I want to spend more time with people. And also through technology, we're not limited to just the people in our geographic area. So I'm just so grateful to be connected with you. And if anyone's curious, we met on Heartfelt Presence. But I think the deep listening that I was able to experience has helped me to shift out of maybe a space that wasn't as healthy for me at the beginning, because it was a huge shock to go from. I was in Costa Rica. The last was my last flight. So yeah, I just appreciate that we're doing this conversation, and I can, it's something that I can share and then hopefully continue on. Can can you talk a little bit just about deep listening and how what that means and how we can get there or get better at it?
Sure, sure. Yes, I think most of the time we listen on a quite surface level without, it's innocent. It's not like we don't want to um, be better listeners. It's just we sometimes don't know how to do it. And we listen for information, for something in particular. When we have a conversation with someone, it's kind of like we have an expectation what we want to hear, or what we probably will hear in that conversation, and we're just focused on that thing. And that means sometimes we shut off everything else that might be said, that is maybe very interesting thing to follow and explore. But we just look for that one thing, and once we found it, we kind of, we go maybe deeper into that. Or if we haven't found what we were looking for, we kind of lose interest, right? And also, it can be listening for agreement or disagreement, especially when we listen to when we meet someone new and we have a conversation. It's almost like we're scanning, is this my person or is this not my person? Am I safe with them or am I not? Are they threats to me? Or in very fast-paced world these days, the world where we're scrolling on social media, and there's like information overload, you very quickly want to discern if this is for you and if it's not for you. And this kind of listening has place in our lives, definitely. It's not like we're going to go and very deeply listen to everything we come across, because we wouldn't have time to live our lives. We would just be like listening to things on social media and deciding. Okay, but I'm talking more, it's very useful in conversations to have the awareness of, that there is a deeper level of listening if we want to connect deeper with this person, or if we want to see something or hear something fresh that we maybe don't even expect, that it's going to change something for us, that is going to change this relationship for us. So instead of listening for agreement, so the moment this person said something, we kind of, it's already familiar to us and we're like, okay, yeah, I agree, and you just go along with that. Or someone says something that doesn't really land very well with you, you're like, okay, I don't agree with this, and you just shut off. Instead of going this way, it's like being very curious, being so open to hearing something new, and it's listening with nothing on your mind. So actually, I don't even call it very often deep listening. I just talk about it. I call it listening with nothing on your mind. And the difference is immense. The connection is beautiful when we listen with nothing on your mind. What it means is that we don't filter everything through our thinking, through our database, if you will, through our experience or our conditioning or our education. We're just listening, and when someone shares something, it's as if you heard it for the very first time in your life, and you want to know more about it. And you really want to know not what it means for you, because when someone says something, the most common thing we do is like, okay, what does it mean for me? And you go to your database, to your knowledge,
Yeah.
education, whatever, or your experience, your past experience, your story. Whereas if you hear something and you are really curious what it means for them, because everyone's got different reality, everyone experiences their world through the filter of their own personal thinking. So my reality will never be your reality. So what it means for me doesn't mean it means the same thing for you. So I want to know what it means for you.
Wow. That's that that was amazing. I needed to hear that again. Um, what what came up, and I know my thinking is always very fast. And so to slow down and to properly listen isn't something that I've incorporated as much as I should, I would say. But I loved what came up was that idea. We all have phones that have predictive texting. And how often has it come out? It's like, that's not what I was trying to say. Or like sometimes it can be really funny what it thinks you're trying to write. But our mind is designed to be predictive, to make things faster sometimes when you're absorbing material. You're like, okay, I've read these instructions or this is coming next. But sometimes that can lead us terribly astray because it's not what we've heard before, but our mind races ahead. So that's something to be very aware of. And I'm excited that if I can get that space or accessing the creativity or the what I've been missing by having this predictive texting on. So stepping. So yeah,
I
that's
love this analogy. Love this
okay.
analogy to predictive texting. Because yeah, we have this predictive texting in our mind. Like
Yes.
you know, yeah. And what happens is when you're expecting to hear something, when you're expecting someone to say something,
Yeah.
um, you're most likely behaving a certain way, like you're expecting it. You know
Yeah.
how, like, when you have a naughty kid in front of you and they're always naughty, and you kind of like, you just know that they're going to be naughty, or when they've done something, when they
Yeah.
have done something naughty, you're like, well, I knew, like, I wouldn't expect anything different from you. What usually happens is every time you interact with that kid, they just go and do it because they know that you expect that from them.
Right.
Right? Whereas if you actually have no expectation, if you see them as blank canvas, because you're like, yeah, they've always done it, but actually maybe today they will do something or say something different, and you
Yeah.
show up with total presence with them and curiosity, maybe ask different questions. When you show up differently, people show up differently as well. And it's not with the kid. I gave that kind of
Yeah.
example because it happens very often with kids, right?
Yeah.
But it
And
happens with everyone.
yeah. And just that calmness, like and I am the analogy girl. So and I was just thinking about, my husband was writing to me, and we all have a predictive text name, where as if you're writing in the name. So mine being Anita, it comes out as animal. That's my predictive name. So if I ever leave a bit of a mess, my husband's very tidy. I'm always like, that wasn't me, that was animal. They did that. So do you know your predictive text name?
Oh my gosh, there are so many. So
Okay.
yes, it's basic.
Basic for Basia. So Basia spelled Basia for anyone who's
Yes,
listening
it's
in. And
basic. It can be basis. It can be basil.
okay, of course. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So your
So okay,
culinary
I'm
name.
basic, but there is beauty in simplicity. So I
Yes.
suppose
So
it's
you
not
can
bad.
take, those are both very, and I thought animal was very fitting for me, because I do have this energy where sometimes, I'll break things or knock things over or leave. And I can't remember what we were trying to fix, but setting up a call or something. But I said, my housekeeping style can best be described as there appears to have been a struggle.
Oh, I love it.
So,
I love it. But then again, animals are the most loving things in the world. So
so it's yeah, thank you on that expectation. I always think about dogs. If you're worried that a dog might bite you, it senses that.
oh my gosh, it does. And I have a story about it actually.
Okay.
I have a story. When I think I was about between 8 and 10 years old. I can't remember. My family, we were visiting my aunt in the countryside. My whole family with my parents and my sister. My sister is 2 years older than me, and so this family we were staying with, my aunt, they had a dog, and it was quite a big dog and could be quite aggressive. So they were kind of keeping it away from us because the dog didn't know us. So, but I was really curious, and I wasn't afraid of the dog. So I remember one day I went and sat beside the dog, and he was calm. He let me pet him, and he was just really friendly with me. So then I'm calling my sister. My sister's name is Eva. And I'm like, Eva, come on, come on. He's really not aggressive. He's not bad at all. Come on, sit beside. And so she did. But she was really afraid of him because she knew that, like, she was told that, he was aggressive. So she came over because she saw me sitting there and petting him. She sat beside me, and he sensed the fear and he jumped at her.
Oh,
And unfortunately, that was very unfortunate because he jumped at her face, and she's got scars until today.
oh no.
And he actually jumped at her wrist as well. That was very dangerous because it was very close to the you
Mm,
know her veins. And
wow.
so that was a kind of a sad story,
Yeah,
but that's true. The animals can sense
yeah,
this. And I find it interesting because I think it works like that with people. It's just animals have like this stronger instinct, right?
yeah,
But with people, we sense energy, we sense others' emotions, and because we're
yes,
all connected, we're all
yes.
connected with each other, right?
And I think growing up, like I've always been very sensitive to energy and it is palpable,
Mhm.
and it can be hard when you're feeling something that maybe others are telling you that they're not feeling, and then you doubt yourself. But if you feel it or you know it, you need to listen to that. But it
Mm.
But at the same time, like what you were saying, like I'm a little bit scared. I have had an injury with my cheek. I fell on the ice in November of this year, and so I had to have a plate put in and corrective surgery. So when I was skiing this year, when it was spring break, I was on the mountain, and I just had this feeling like, oh, there's too many people, or, just being a little bit fearful because I'm doing something that's a bit dangerous and I'm not 20 anymore. So if I fall or something happens. But I do remember this one day, and I really do, at the end of the day, I was like, it was my thinking where I was so scared of getting hit or being close to someone, I was attracting it. And I felt it on skis or a snowboard or something. If there's a sign when you're getting off the chairlift or something, if you worry about that sign, you will go towards it as opposed to looking at the open space, like beside the sign. So it works with dogs and it works with obstacles too.
Mm.
So, but thank
Yeah, it's interesting.
yeah,
Interesting when we have something in mind, and even if it's something actually we don't want, we tend to focus on that thing and we just
yes,
go towards it. And I
yeah,
know that's a metaphor, like analogy of going towards a
yeah.
pole, but in
Oh, it's
life.
actually reality, not even a metaphor. Like I felt it. I've been felt drawn towards a sign because I was a bit afraid of it.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
But sorry, I was trying not. Yeah, no, it's good to see you laugh, and I love the laughter. And I was painting with a friend, and I just heard a golf podcast or something about saying you have to say stay on the green and not don't go in the water, because they said don't is just a word, but
Mhm.
go in the water is an image. So
Mhm.
even though you're saying don't go in the water, your brain is hearing go in the water. So I was helping my friend paint that day, and the first thing she said was, don't go on the ceiling. And I said, you can't say that because I just heard about golfing. And so she's like, stay on the wall, Anita. I'm like, that works. But
Yeah.
I, but it is a really powerful trick once you learn that can help you. Or I think with the injuries that I had on, and sometimes it's just random. Like I don't think I called the bad fall on my cheekbone. I don't think I called that into the universe because I wasn't thinking about it. It's sometimes things just happen. But sometimes things we need to discern between that.
Mhm.
And sometimes things happen that are really good that we've called in
Yeah.
because we've been open to it. Like those people that can find things in thrift stores.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
believe that they will find it and then they do. And I've heard other people like, oh, there's never anything good when I go,
Yeah.
or, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like I think we kind of came full circle right now when you said about this, like not focusing on not on the thing that you don't want, but
Yeah.
actually focusing on the thing that you want. And it's going back to how we started this conversation, how people sometimes know what they don't want in life, and they tend to focus on problems, and they dive deeper into the problems. When something happens that we don't want, I these days I don't even see that problems really exist. It's just something that is undesirable for us. It's just against what we want, our expectations maybe, or what we would like to experience in life. So we focus on this thing that we don't want, and we dive deeper. We try to, understand it, unpack it, analyze it, and thinking that when we go deeper into the problem, we're finally going to figure it out.
Yes.
And also that goes to like what we don't want in life. We kind of pay so much attention to to what we don't want, just so that we kind of stay away or notice when this happens, so that we kind of know what to be,
Yes.
what to be careful about. But we spend all our time and energy here instead of actually thinking about what we want to create, what's possible for us, what would be a better option for us, or what would be fun to create, right?
Yeah.
And just
I
point
love,
our attention and time and everything, like all our energy there.
yeah. I love that. And I think about when I've like slipped into depression or when it was a breakup or whatever it was, I was looking back and I was trying to fix something that had already happened. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't going to take me there if I
Mm-hmm.
spent all my time. But it's, I love the analogy too of like a groove and a rut. And I always think about records, but like a rut is when you don't want to be there. But like if you're working out or you're cooking or whatever, that could be a groove, you're just in in your spot. But it's really important to recognize maybe and then try to get into a groove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is that fixing of things. Our mind can be a little what what my girlfriend had told me like about anxiety, and I don't know if you had heard this before, and I know she said that our brain wants to help us. And so if you get a flat tire, your brain is like, oh, you have a BCA membership. Oh, you saw it on TV. Oh, your friend is home today. Or I'm always like, okay, who lives in this neighborhood can give me a jump start, like, your brain, or what's going to be open, and all of these things. But she said when something maybe unfortunate happens that doesn't need to be fixed, or like I've lost my keys, my brain might always remind me of all the times that I've been late because I've lost my keys, and then that isn't so helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
That's what that's what our intellectual mind does, and it's got a function in our lives as well, but it's good to know that it's not always useful, and it's actually good to just leave the thinking alone when we're in the problem, when something is happening, when something doesn't feel good. Just leave it. And because we have this inbuilt um resource in us, which is connection to wisdom, to not even our wisdom, to the higher wisdom, to the source of all creation, that all the fresh ideas come from. But if we're so busy trying to figure things out, and again go into all the stories when this happened and then what might happen because it happened before,
right.
we're just not giving ourselves the space to listen to wisdom, to
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. This has been so lovely. Thank you for taking this time. And I really hope there's just little bits in our conversation today that can help whoever might have been listening in or whoever might in the future listen in. And I know that I'm going to want to listen to this again as a reminder, because when I get on track, like everything does flow. But when I get off, I was like, how am I going to get back on? What do I need to do or what?
Mm.
So I really appreciate like you sharing this, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate you inviting me, and I'm just so excited. First of all, I want to thank you for creating this show, and I'm just so curious to see where it's going to go and who you're going to have on this show and how it's going to unfold, because I know you shared with me that at the moment you actually don't really know exactly which direction you're gonna go in, but you're really lit up by this idea of comedy and helping people. I love it, by the way, because actually being lighthearted is where all the insights come from, when you're actually lighthearted and you're not treating everything so seriously and you're just having fun in life. And I'm not talking about this fake positivity or anything like that, because of course there are moments in life that we're going through something and we don't feel great, and that that's okay as well. But just being a little bit more lighthearted in life than we are, that we think we need to be because we're adults and we have to be serious. I think beautiful things are born from that, and I just can't wait to see, how you combine this comedy
Yeah.
with what you're kind of called to create in terms of like helping people. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. So thank you
Oh,
so much for inviting me here and
yes.
creating this.
And thank you for being on this journey, because I don't know where this is going to go, but I just want to thank my dad for always being there with a little bit of wisdom, but mostly a bit of humor. And I think that combination for me was like the best medicine I could have ever had at the moment. And I know he's looking down on us, and just, as the show goes on, I've always wanted to write a book about my dad, but maybe this will be a show about, my dad, and also like about the airplane. Of course, I'm a flight attendant, and, I was chatting. So stay tuned, you guys. That might be the next episode, could be everything I needed to learn in life. I learned at 40,000 feet. So that's what's coming.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
That's amazing.
so thank you again and for being with me today.
Oh, thank you, Anita.